would like to kind of put that forward for the next town hall as well as areas where we can kind of build towards our networking with some tangible purposes. Mark?
Yeah, great. Thanks, John. And I did get your email, and I'll answer you. I appreciate you reaching out. And again, I echo John's comment that this is a great network, across many things. As Philios will probably talk a little bit about mentoring. Most of us network to help other people as well, and make connections where people are looking for opportunities. And so this is probably one of our strongest networks to do that. And again, supporting the SA mission. And so first of all, thanks for joining today. But I really want to thank you for your engagement. It is really the strength of our society. What you do at the post, at the regional, and at the national level really makes a difference. I had a chance, and actually Jim Donahue and I were on the Distinguished Fellows call earlier today, and just to hear their continued passion for support to the society just kind of gives you it not only gives you hope, but it also inspires you that the future for our society continues to remain very bright going forward. So, and again, we would not be the society we are today if we didn't have the strength of the fellows for that. So, hey, a couple of things I just want to talk about along those lines. First of all is the development of future fellows. And I think, we are, right now in the process of doing the review for the fellows packages for this year. But it reminds me that, the people that came to, put their package in this year to get nominated, they were not nominated because they decided they wanted to be a fellow today, but somebody talked to them years ago about service in the society and about giving them the vision that they could, after serving the society, be recognized as a fellow and get the opportunity to have even greater impact as a fellow. And so as you kind of build your networks within your regions, I would also offer that, start looking at developing those fellows in the future. One of the things that I've done with a few folks is I've actually, talked to them. They've been maybe very active in SAME for 5 or 6 years. And I have them draft their fellows package in an outline form and sit down and talk with them and talk about where they have been in the society and what's next for them and how that might, fill in some gaps, not only to become a fellow, but then also give them that experience base where they can have a greater impact going forward. So I just encourage you, don't always, we'll talk a little bit about, we're in 2021's selection process. We'll have a whole process to look for 2022. But I encourage you to look at not only fellows for next year, but the next 5 years, and making sure that they are getting the mentoring to help get them develop to become fellows from that perspective. And then the other one I'd just like to talk is a little bit about our regional fellow POCs, everybody on the call today. I'll excuse Jim from this because he's already a distinguished fellow to this, but one of the things is, as normal succession planning, on the Academy of Fellows Executive Committee, and you'll hear from our Executive Committee today, we try to rotate a couple of those spots on an annual basis so that we always have new leadership in there, and we have continuity in there. So for those that are on the call, that if you are interested in being on the executive committee for the Academy, please reach out to myself or to Rad or to Kathy and just kind of let us know your interest. And again, if you think about having an impact within the society, as a fellow, you can have a huge impact. As a member of the Academy of Fellows Executive Committee, that impact is magnitude, and it's reflective of the people that are on this call today that are on our executive committee today. So, so again, if you are interested, please reach out and let me know. So those are the real things. A little bit on development of future fellows. The other one is also about what's next for all of you if you have that interest as well. So let me just pause there. I know, John, you mentioned you want to make this kind of more of a dialogue if we can, but let me just see if there's any questions or comments out there from the regional fellows or other fellows who have joined us today. Tough room, tough room.
Hey, Mark, it's
Hey.
Patrice. I'm sorry I'm late. I just realized this was happening, so I jumped on.
Not a problem. Great to have you. Thanks for joining. So, okay, let me go ahead and I don't think Rad is on today. No, Rad is on today. Rad, let me turn it over to you.
Let's wait for my camera to go on here.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Mark. I don't want to take too much of anybody's time. My name is Rad Delaney. I'm the deputy chair of the Fellows XC, and working with Mark and Neil before him, my role is sort of continuity and just looking at the roles and some of our overall initiatives. One of the things we've been working on, and I think have made some real good progress with, is the manual, and a lot of it goes to the process that we will talk about a little bit today on the selection of new fellows. I think we've made some real improvements, and in that process, just making it more democratic and more visible. And if you look back when the society started, people got a call from the president or the executive director, and they became fellows. And it's much different now. It's based on what you've accomplished and what you hope to accomplish in the future. So we're very proud of that. And I think I'd like to echo what Mark has said about just how valuable the fellows are to our society and to our society's future. I do have one question for Mark, though, is that I've noticed that with the exception of when he's hosting one of our big events, which is the investiture or the General Flowers event, he always managed to have on his red Sammy shirt. And you must either have 10 of them or have one like right next to your desk. How do you do that? You're muted. Okay, well, Mark, you're muted.
You mean we don't all wear red shirts all the time?
There he is.
Well, buddy, not only do you have red shirts, but you have red shoes, which I'm not going to ask you to show it.
Oh, they're on. Well, I will call this an SAME day because Buddy, Jim, and I were all on a call earlier on Distinguished Fellows, and then we have this call, and then we have the foundation board meeting at 1 o'clock today. So it is a heavy SAME day for me today.
Great. So that's unless anybody has any questions about the process or the roles, and it doesn't have to be here, you can follow up with me. I will hand it back to John. Thank you.
And you're on mute.
And I was on.
Let me bring up that.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Jim.
I think Buddy Barnes is going to shoot me. I sound like a broken record, but I haven't been the Academy of Fellows POC for the Mid-Atlantic region for the last, 8 or 9 years. There's one minor thing that I think that we ought to consider in the selection of fellows, and that is the review process. If the PLC is going to be involved with the review, which I think is the right thing, and give feedback to the nominee and the nominator, that's great. But I think you put the PLC in a tough position to make an endorsement of the candidate. For example, we've had several from the Northern Virginia Post. Fortunately, all of them I could make a positive endorsement on, but I have had one or two. A few years back, I really had trouble making the endorsement on it, but I felt obligated to do it. And I think that we should take the role of the POC and take out the requirement for an endorsement. Another thing would be you're reviewing other candidates, other nominees from within the region that you don't even know. So all you know is what you read on paper. So is that proper to do an endorsement? I'll just leave it at that.
Can we comment on that, Mark, or whoever's running the meeting?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this is Mike Blunt, Regional Fellows POC South Atlantic. I agree with everything you just said. And This is my first year as Regional Fellows POC, and I let a person go through. I knew would not get selected, but he met the minimum requirement, and I let him know that I didn't think he'd make it, but he said he had big shoulders, and he wanted to go through the process and get a debrief. I don't know how he fared, but I saw my role as looking at the nomination packages, making sure they were adequate, that they met the requirements, helping them go forward if they chose to go forward. I had one person withdraw because it was too hard, and then the one person that I'm pretty sure will not make it just because he was very light on everything, but he met the requirements. So that's what I saw my role is. I think I'll take it different, and but I just wanted to make sure the folks understood what was in front of them. I had 5 that were pretty strong that I hope will make it. But like I said, I viewed my role as more advisory and to stop people who did not meet the minimum requirements. That I would have turned around. Over.
Yeah, Mike, I'd just add, and I'm not sure if Ann is on, she can probably expound a little bit more, but I think, part of this is we recognize that you've got a role to look at those minimum requirements, mentor and coach those nominees as to when would be the most effective time to do it. But we also recognize that, we've got a lot of regional fellow POCs out there, and some may have different interpretations. So I think one of the roles of the AOFXC, when we look at all the packages, is we look at for consistency across. So, people that might be on the borderline for you, putting them forward is, for me, is okay, because that's part of the role of the AOFXC is to provide that, leveling and consistency across the society. But I do agree, and I think in this year, I would tell you that we recognize the role that the Regional Fellow POC is in, and we recognize that your endorsement is more from a process standpoint, as well as more than this is the person that I'd say has to become a fellow. And we recognize that. And I think, Jim, you don't always know that person. I think the same thing happens with some of the post presidents as well. They may not know that individual. They may have just PCS'd into that region and just got there, and most of their service was somewhere else. So I think that's a little bit of a challenge for all of our endorsers, for some of our specific endorsers. Same thing with the RVP. You probably won't know all the candidates that are coming up. So, but again, I don't think we overemphasize the endorsements as much as we do their package when it comes in when we do those reviews.
And Jim, this is Rad. It's not the first time I know we have heard this, and we are going to have we've just finished the review process, and we're in the middle of just completing our evaluations and reviewing them with leadership. But it has come up before, and we are going to have an after action discussion. So I'll make sure that it does make its way into that after action discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Rad. Appreciate that.
So we do have further down here a little bit of a back brief for as the process this year went, and what we can talk to that a little bit more. But I'd like we got Melissa on. She's our Vice Chair of Communications and Marketing, and I'd like her to say hello, talk a little bit about the newsletter and the newsletter that is projected to come out.
Hi, John. It's Melissa Smith. As John said, I'm the Deputy Chair for the communications. And hopefully everybody saw the first newsletter that was issued over the summer. And our second newsletter is going to be in a January timeframe, because that's when the new class of fellows will be selected. So that will be when we will be communicating who was selected, and we're really excited about this class of fellows. As was said, we're in the midst of the review, and it's just always so wonderful to see the strength of the SME volunteers and members, and those dedicated and committed. So we look forward to having some more events with some of the other community of interest, such as the young members, and we'll be keeping you abreast of that information as we move forward. Back to you, John.
Hey, thanks, Melissa. And I'll put a plug in. You know, we have a group of folks here that talk and know a bunch of things, and things come to them, and just offer that something comes your way that is like a good news story, that could be a blurb, things that are working out, where the network is working, where people are getting mentored, maybe an award that wouldn't have, you know, a different type of an award that wouldn't have been bubbled up through the society, but is professional in nature. Please shoot them to myself, to Melissa, to anybody on the board. I think those kind of snippets in the newsletter make it interesting.
Yeah, plus also don't forget Kathy. Kathy's always a good point person, since she's our lead at the SAME National.
Excellent. So Sally was not able to join us, but she was able to get a quick call off to me right before we joined. Want to give you a little feedback. If you were not able to join the Lieutenant General Flowers fireside chat, I think you missed a really interactive opportunity. The network kind of bogged down a little bit. Things were a little bit hard to hear at times, this way or that way. But the message was definitely came through. The questions that were asked by our young members, we had vetted to some degree, and had them set up. We provided them to General Flowers, although he can always talk off the cuff pretty well. We wanted him not to be too surprised, but it was nice. We called it a fireside chat, and it was interactive. And what was really special was the way the questions were. It really brought out some things you might not have known, as far as his past experiences in the Army, and then also transitioning into the private sector, and then how we balance that. And we were actually able to surprise him with a guest question. We had his son, Rob Flowers, ask him specifically how important his family was, and Commander 6 at home, his mom. And I think it was genuine, and it was a lot of fun. So that was, if you don't know, I mean, that was kind of, in celebration of him receiving the Golden Eagle Award, which we'll continue to try to have a formal presentation of. But it was kind of this two-step process that we're kind of working through on this centennial celebration packet. So with that, then I'll move to Vice Chair of Internal, and I don't know if Ann is on.
I don't think so, John.
I don't think so. So Rad or Mark, would you like to, I know I can, because we've summarized, our findings and have provided them to the executive committee, and we have some follow-up with them. But Mark, would you like to talk about our process? And
yeah, let me go ahead and start, then I'll flip over to Rad for any additional comments. So first of all, as my thanks to all of you that were out there in your role as regional fellow POCs, because we actually saw and again, this is my first year doing it, but for the rest of the committee, the feedback was resounding. The packages are getting better. The better the packages, it makes it much easier for us to provide that quality review and provide that consistency, and really select those fellows that are going to have a huge impact for the society in the future. So your efforts to working with them and doing that, I will, take my, my hat off to Buddy Barnes, and when he did the AOF action plan, when he was when he was the chair of the academy, he kind of instituted hey, let's get that draft in August, and let's look at it. And I can tell you from my personal experience, when I wrote my fellows package before this process was in place, And I think everybody did it. Everything was down to the wire, and same with endorsements, and it really jammed people up. My feeling was that, you know, we worked it a lot better because of that, and the package quality is improving. I'd love to make it an easier package, but because I know it's challenging. I think the biggest challenge is for people to remember what they did, you know, 10, 20, 30 years ago. But the other one is, you know, the transparency of our process. You know, it's been pretty clear what our process is to all of our members. Obviously, we do the webinar that Ann hosts beforehand, so they know what the process is and what, you know, kind of coaching on how to put those packages together. And then all of our process, all the way up through getting approval with the national president, is very transparent, and that transparency, I think, has helped the academy and also helped our process going forward. So again, I think our process continues to improve, and I think you know, we had a talk. I think Jim mentioned earlier today on one of our other calls a little bit of TQM, TQL is process improvement, and this is one that the executive committee has been, you know, laser focused on, and so we do continue to do that. Anyway, so that's kind of the feedback I have for that one. The other message I have for you is, you know, I talked earlier about, you know, mentoring future fellows, and really, you know, Ron, this goes back to your comment about, you know, you may not know them. If we are out there mentoring future fellows, you know, get to know those people that are going to be future fellows, and you shouldn't be having that conversation when they want to put a package in. You should get to know them earlier on in the process. And so now I think now is the time that you should be talking to the, you know, the nominees for the fellows class of 2022. So, you know, those packages aren't due until, you know, next, you know, until August and October, but, you know, we don't want to be having that discussion later on. We should be having those discussions now. Some of those people that were on the fence and maybe have taken on a new role within the society might be ready, start coaching them now. So anyway, so that's a little bit of feedback on the process and a little bit of looking ahead. Brad, anything else to add from your
Just a couple of things briefly. Thank you, Mark. One is that not only are the packages getting better, but it's one of the things that a couple of us were discussing on our call, on one of our review calls, is how it appears that either people are selling themselves better, or we are just getting some incredible candidates there. We had 36 this year, and it was easy to review a lot of them, and that's really says something for the society, and it's something we can all be proud of. The other thing, and it touches on what you were talking about earlier, Jim, is that we are also putting, and it's improved the process immensely. We're putting more pressure on and more tasks on the RFPOCs. They started out a few years ago with basically sort of a gatekeeper, if you will, to the beginning of the process with a go no go, and it's really evolved to, I think, the process, the benefit of the process, that they are much more involved now, and along the lines of what Mark was just saying, getting to know the potential candidates. So we owe this town hall is just one of the ways we hope to not only thank but prop up the RFPOCs and help them do their job. So thank you for what you do. It's a critical part of the process. Back to you, John.
Yeah, thanks, Rad. So I do not believe Sharon was joining us. And I'm going to take the liberty, because the next was Vice Chair of Events, and we wanted to give you a little feedback on how the investiture went with in a virtual setting. I think one, Kathy with the show flow and working things behind the scenes has some, probably could give us a little something. But I'm going to take a little risk here, and I'm going to ask Carrie Ann Williams, as one of the new fellows that was invested this past year, to let us know what she thought about how we were able to do it. And I know she's on, and it looks like she's not mute, but I surprised her.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it went really well. Like you said, John, Kathy did an amazing job with all of us rehearsing and practicing and coordinating our cameras on, cameras off, all of those things. I thought the live stream feature was also really great. I mean, personally, my family who lives out of state were all able to attend, and they would not have come if it was, you know, an in-person thing. Just, you know, because that's not, wouldn't have probably been able to get here. So, you know, that also I think opened up the whole Academy of Fellows process to people too. So I think folks that don't normally attend the induction probably watched it on Facebook or were able to participate virtually in a way that, you know, they wouldn't have been part of it if it was a live event. So from that aspect, I thought it was awesome. And, you know, just, it wasn't, of course, the same as being live, walking across the stage, but we all got our robes, we all had our medals. The national office was just, you know, so well organized and got us everything we needed. So it was wonderful. And our class, we also met virtually at SBC. So we were the first class to watch a rocket ship together because Angie Gorel lives in Florida and there was a launch going off while we were having our little happy hour. So yeah, so it's good.
That's excellent. Thank you. Sorry for the surprise, but I knew you could do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Kathy, I know you don't usually speak, but you should. Do you have any feedback for the group?
No, I think everybody's covered it. I think it was a great event considering, you know, it was the first time we'd done it virtually. I think there were some things that we picked out that we want to continue. And even when we get get back to face-to-face meetings, you know, maybe there's a way we continue live streaming it or something like that. So I think it was a great exercise, and we're gonna carry forth some of the things for the future, and hopefully we don't have to do too many more virtually.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. Okay, well, I saved the best for last, Philios. All right, I did. And I believe I put it in a slide here down below if you want to switch. I'm not sure how everybody's screen's going to see it, but we can, it will give Philios something to talk to. He's been very academic and philosophical about this, and it's a nice, neat, kind of what you call a dashboard, and I love it. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you, John. You set me up nicely. I appreciate it, and thank you for collaborating with me on this, and also my teammates in the academy. So first, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all. Philios Angelidis, I'm the vice chair for mentoring, and I have obviously a big passion of mentoring. I may be deeply biased about how much I embrace a lot of this stuff, but you know, where we all are in our careers, mentoring is a must-do duty to pass on the knowledge to people. And to put some context on the topic that I'm going to talk about before I get into the details, my ISME career goes back 25 years. And back in 2007, when I joined the DC Post on the board, starting with committees and, you know, being at the low level, climbing the ladder, there was an evolution that I experienced in getting to know the different aspects of what the Post is doing, what our ambitions are, achieving different things. And then through all that journey, it led me to being the Post president through various positions. And then as part of that nice journey, I was part of the winning experience of us getting selected as a top large Post back in 2011. And now that I'm in this position, you know, I look back and, you know, what got us into that position to be the top large Post and or getting distinguished Post over multiple years. And it was our ability to execute different aspects of initiatives and programs and other actions within the Post that kind of allowed us to meet various metrics. And to get there. It didn't just happen overnight. It happened through good efforts, but it also happened through the strong influence of peers and mentors, whether they were fellows or not, as well as colleagues from other posts, to show us the way to do different things or to use them as examples for us to replicate some of the activities that they did. So when I reflect back and I look at all the great ambitions that SAME has nationally, a big part of we as the Academy can bring to the table is the 900 plus membership that we have in the form of fellows who collectively bring experience in running posts, organizing programs, mentoring different groups of people. All that knowledge becomes a great resource that is available to the posts, so they can take that on and build their own success story. So that when I was honored to be on the committee this year and get my appointment, I needed to kind of think through my own mission to support the mentoring, championing mentoring, and that effort kind of led me to this document that John is sharing with you. And I know it's hard to read on the screen, but basically the top part sets the tone that we as the Academy of Fellows are your resource pool to champion various initiatives within the to be mentors of the posts and their leadership to help them achieve various types of like you see there. One, looking on the left, that blue highlighted area starts with helping mentor potential candidates for fellow, helping them through their application process, through explaining different kinds of things they can do. I won't get into all the details so we can move along. But then looking at the different other kinds of initiatives that a post will be looking forward to doing, like developing leaders, leader development programs, student chapters, field chapters, or mentoring government agencies that are affiliated with them or collaborating with them. Young professionals, every post has young professionals, helping them with their activities. Professional development programs, summer camps, and then private industry, small firms who are coming to the post to get to learn the ropes about how to pursue business, how to set up their organizations. There's plenty of ways to do this stuff. And within the Academy of Fellows, we have leaders who, over the years, through their own experiences, they have knowledge that we can impart with individual posts, and through various forums, we can help achieve some of this stuff. I mean, this is a journey. This doesn't happen overnight, and it does take some effort, but it also takes commitment on both sides. And I wanted to make sure that all of you, as the representatives of the regional, the various regions, you can convey the message and reach out to me or reach out to any of our colleagues. But obviously, I'll be involved as the leader of mentoring within the Academy right now, and we'll summon the resources to support it. So anyway, that's the background of this. And I don't know, John, if and I'll open it for questions too if anybody has any feedback. John, I don't know if we can distribute this to people. This document, by the way, is going to be part of the SAME website under the mentoring page of the website, as well as our operations manual within the Academy of Fellows. It's one of the multiple resources that we have available for people, and I put it in this simplified form to show people in the areas that we're looking to mentor, what are the objectives we're trying to achieve. And then on the right side, you see it's blank, and that's where each post is going to have their own tracking mechanism to see how are they doing and what they're doing to help achieve the objective. And we can be there alongside with all of you to coach and provide feedback. So with that, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. My email address for anybody who wants to reach out and offer, express interest or refer me to somebody, it's angelidisp@gmail.com. It's also on the website. And I noticed, by the way, the attendance, a lot of the folks comes from large posts, and many of them, they may not need this assistance with this. But if you do have knowledge of smaller posts or medium-sized posts that are asking questions about this stuff, obviously you'll be a great conduit to get their attention to this, and then you can send them my way and we'll find a way to help them out. So any questions, anything I can offer in more detail?
Philios, thanks. You know, and you use the word tracking, and a lot of times, you know, seems like everything we do, we boil it down to, well, we better track it, or we need to input data. What this is a dashboard, kind of is a reminder of ideas that do help in multiple ways. You know, mentorship comes in all shapes and sizes. But if we can start getting some feedback, you know, ultimately what it becomes, I think, is a best practice across the regions of things that they're doing and things that people might not have thought of doing. So yeah, it's simple, and I think, you know, we will distribute it, and I think you know, we should try to maybe figure out a way, though, how we can get some feedback without leaving it to everybody to just kind of feel like it's an obligation, fill it out and send it in. It might be worthy of kind of an interactive feedback on one of our town halls.
Yeah, and actually, to add to your point, John, this is not meant to be a competition like, oh my God, let's see how quickly we can fill out all the boxes. It is a tool to help people see the potential. And it is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, and nobody's going to, you know, scream and yell, why did we not finish this in a year? So it's a guiding tool. I would tell you, what at the DC Post, I'll give you an example. When we were looking to build a leadership and mentoring lab program, the way we started, somebody referred us to the San Antonio Post that started this thing, and that they were the first post to do this, and we used them as the standard to begin our program. So you can see, even within a large post, you know, as we were at DC Post, we were missing some things, and we reached out to our colleagues at San Antonio for some guidance, and we used their platform, you know, just to form ours. So there's ways to expand knowledge. And by the way, you know, the other place that we're looking to champion this, and I'm waiting to hear back, is with the Post Leaders Workshop, where you get the new leadership of the various posts coming in for training. If we can find a window to be part of that agenda, I think this is another place where we can champion the you know, the resource that we can bring to the post to help mentor them into achieving a number of those initiatives. So, and your feedback to this is welcome. If you got additional ideas or anything else that we're missing that we should be championing, it doesn't mean this is the end of the game. It's just a starting point. As John said, we can build on it and we can improve it as we go along.
Excellent. Thanks, Philios. So we're getting ready here to wrap up. Kathy, were you able to put anything down on the calendar, that last slide?
Yeah, no, we really don't have anything coming up in the near future. We'll be scheduling a happy hour for the new fellows in January, and we'll get that date and time out to everybody once it's scheduled.
Excellent. All right. Well, then that goes through each of our chairs and some of the roles and initiatives that everyone is tackling under the sound leadership of Mark. And with that, I'll pass it off to Mark to say his final words.
Great, thanks, John. I appreciate you pulling this together. Hey, I did think, you know, first of all, some great comments back on Philios and his tool. But John, how about if we take what Philios has sent and send it out to the regional fellow POCs for comment and review? But I really like the way you put that into perspective, John, because it is a tool. You can collect best practices. Philios, you captured it well as well, saying, hey, this isn't a something that everybody has to fill out, and it's a report card that has to come in, but it's a way in order to really capture some of those best practices and share it across our network, right? It goes back to what John started with. This is a great network. So we want to build on, I always say, you want to share and steal. You want to share your best ideas and steal everybody else's. So this is a great way to do it. So let's go ahead and do that, John. So hey, so let me just pause and see if anybody has any other thoughts or comments, or even you have something that you'd like us to discuss on the next town hall. I'll just open up the floor if anybody has anything.
Mark, let me just insert that it's been my experience, and maybe some of your experience too, that oftentimes we'll see a fellow that is very deserving to be a fellow, but then he sort of fades away. And I've had problems trying to keep the fellows engaged. I'm just on an outreach basis would like to hear if anyone here has some success stories and how to keep fellows engaged. And if you will, send them to me, and I will put together an article that I can pass on to Melissa to maybe go into the next newsletter or the one after that. And my name, my email address is James H. Donahue, DONAHUE @yahoo.com.
And I think those emails should be in the meeting invite as well. If Kathy, the way, depending on you, so go ahead and grab it. But first of all, Jim, I applaud you for doing that. I've always found that if people are engaged, then they get great value out of being a whatever they're doing, whether they're a post president or if they are a fellow or just even post secretary. The more they get engaged, the more they get out. So all the best practices that you have out there to engage the fellows in your region, please pass that to Jim. That would be great if you could put an article in that newsletter, Jim. So I appreciate that.
Right.
Hey,
Plus,
Mark.
when John sends out the Philios's mentoring, he could include that in his email text.
Oh.
Hey, Mark and John, I wanted to just let you know, Liz Parent's on. She's one of the 2020 class, and asked, I let her know about the meeting so she could come on. But getting the information out, past the regional fellows to see who'd like to sit in on this conversation. The more people we can get in, we don't need all 800 of the fellows, so it'd be a very, very busy screen. But especially inviting the new class to be involved with this. And, when you have your town hall, John, that may be a group that you'd like to invite and see what they think.
Yeah, I think that's.
Hey, buddy, I'm sorry, Mark.
Go ahead.
But that's a great idea. I think having, as we do a little bit more prior planning for the next town hall to identify. I mean, you're right. We can't invite everybody, but we're trying to have these town halls regularly occurring, and maybe in each town hall we kind of throw out a special invite to a couple categories, so we get that kind of flavor across the society. That's a great idea, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah. And I would offer for all the regional fellow POCs, please do invite your networks. You've got your post leads out there, and any other fellows. And again, this goes back to Jim's comment of, hey, how do you engage them? Hey, invite them to things and call them and talk to them and pull them in. So that'd be great. Okay, any other?
Mark, yeah, on Jim's comment about engaging fellows. The other thing I'd pass is to be patient, that sometimes it doesn't work with where a person is in their life, whether retired or not retired or working. A year could go by and next thing you know, they got a space and they want to come back and be involved and engaged. So just keep asking. And I found that with the Jacksonville Post. We've had people flow in and flow out. We just keep asking, and all of a sudden a break occurs and they come right back. We had a gentleman, Tom Fallon, is a fellow, went to work for the city of Jacksonville for 4 years. Poor man, worked in public works. Left SAMA completely for the 4 years, He went back. Now he's working for an AE, working in federal work. He's right back in the fold. We just kept asking him, and he jumped right back in. So I think patience helps. Over.
It's a good point. Okay. Hey, again, I want to thank everybody for dialing in. We'll give you a few minutes back today, but John, thanks for putting together this, and for all the AOFXC committee who helped participate and, you know, put some good content out there. You know, Phyllis, you get the gold star today for sure. But again, I appreciate everybody's leadership within our society and everything you do. So have a great rest of the week, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.